Welcome, beloved. We are on day 2 of this Gregorian year, 2018. Oh, nope. Wrap that back up. 2019. There we go. 2019, January 2nd. We're going to give it just a couple of moments to allow people to receive their notifications, to come into the chat room, because we are a community. And we need each and every one of us to keep that energy going and flowing. Good day, Critical Break. Good day. Going to put a little bit of background ambiance on. Let's see. So today we are on hexagram number 33. So gather around, get your favorite cuppa, whatever. I'll show you mine today. I made some masala chai, and my recipe is sort of limited because I only have a few spices and I need to make the trip to the Indian grocer so that I can get some more. And what's in this cup is Assam black tea and Nigiri black tea together, a combination of the both, black peppercorn, cardamom seeds. What else do I have in here? Cinnamon, clove. I ran out of ginger, and goat's milk, powdered goat's milk that I use. And right up on top, you see coconut oil floating. And trust me when I say this is delicious. It sort of looks like a slide on a microscope right now, but it is divine. I know it as masala chai, which means spiced tea or mixed spices tea. And a friend recently hipped me that the sadhus call it yogi tea, or well, who is it? Bhajan Yogi, I believe, wrote a book. Not sure who Bhajan Yogi is, but Bhajan Yogi calls it yogi tea. It's what the sadhus make. All right, so let's go ahead and bring in the chimes. We're welcoming Critical Break and Pavel and the others who wish to remain behind the scenes. So let's take a moment, take a nice, deep, healing and centering breath. Let's welcome ourselves into this sacred circle, this holy space. Here you go. Okay, so I want to try to keep this under 40 minutes today. Let's see if we can aim for a half an hour at tops. All righty. So first up, of course, we are, hold on one second. Oh no, did I misplace my Lagine book? We're going to do our Tao reading. And somehow my Lagine translation seems to have gotten up and walked away. I'm not entirely sure. Let's see, I don't see it anywhere. Let me just put that right there. And I have several translations of the Tao Te Ching. Let me just take a moment to see if I could find a secondary one. Let's see. Well, looks looks like we're just going to have one because I don't want to spend a lot of time in searching for another translation. Okay, I got Stephen Mitchell. So he's pretty. Has more of that, the feminine quality to his translation. So we're going to have Tao Te Ching, Stephen Mitchell, and Tao Te Ching, translated by John C.H. Wu. There we go. And I'll figure out where my Ursula Le Guin is pretty soon. Okay, so we're going to take the Stephen Mitchell. Alrighty, and get my spectacles on. Okay, so we are going to look at chapter 56 of the Tao Te Ching. 56. Those who know don't talk. Those who talk don't know. Close your mouth, block your senses, blunt your sharpness, untie your knots, soften your glare, settle your dust. This is the primal identity. Be like the Tao. It can't be approached or withdrawn from, benefited or harmed, honored or brought into disgrace. It gives itself up continually. That is why it endures. Chapter 56. Chapter 56. There's some Mandarin. Let's see, let's get that focused. I guess the camera is still half asleep this morning. You can see the turmeric on my fingers. All right, there we go. There we go. So there's your Mandarin in. He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know. Block all the passages. Shut all the doors. Blunt all edges. Untie all tangles. Harmonize all lights. Unite the world into one whole. This is called the mystical whole, which you cannot court, after, nor shun, benefit, nor harm, honor, nor humble. Therefore, it is the highest of the world. Today's hexagram we are going to look at is hexagram number 33. Move that over. Hexagram number 33. And this is from, of course, the Tao Oracle, an illustrated version of the I Ching, Jing, artwork by Ma Padma Devi. She's also the artist of Osho Zen Tarot. So retreat. The keywords are a timely departure, letting go, withdrawal, reevaluation, retirement. Don't hesitate to walk away. And we're looking at heaven over mountain. Benabel Wynn translates this hexagram as retreat, withdraw, absconding. There you go. And you can see up at the top the ancient bone script, oracle bone script, right there at the top. Very beautiful. Okay. So when we look at this hexagram, okay, what have we here? I have two books that are missing. That's okay. Luckily, I have lots of books. What I'm missing right now is my smaller version of the Benebell Winds translation, but luckily we have the big book. So you can see that's like almost 3 times the size of the original. So we're going to look at Mountain Bagua, which is the lower trigram. Mountain. So this is the Mountain Bagua. Again, keywords are keeping still, preserving energy through stability, resting, respite, completion, discipline, resting state, rumination, meditation, cultivation. The element is earth. The direction is northeast. The season, the yellow path, spring equinox. Season, Lo Shu 9 halls, cardinal summer. Life aspect, knowledge, education, skills, wisdom. So with this life aspect, when you're looking to meditate on your life aspect or to really shore up the energy towards your life aspect, you seek out the energy of the mountain, the Bagua, the energy of the mountain, which helps to support knowledge, education, skills, wisdom, gives you that stability. You see the stability in the two double lines at the bottom of the yin, the two yin lines there, and then topped off by the active creative force of the masculine, the yang lines. Medically related to the hand, joints, skull, neck, upper back, shoulders, tumors, circulation blockage. It's the root chakra. Again, you're looking at foundation, stability, mountain. Just think of a mountain. They are noble and strong and steadfast, but constantly reaching forth to greater heights. The animal, wolf. The archetype, the scholar, the artist. The immortal, Zhang Guao, patron of occultists, alchemists, necromancers, and healers. And the top Bagua, heaven, triple yang lines. Creation, the creative force, divine yang, strength and creativity, expansive energy, the sky, power, authority, the celestial kingdom, the immaterial and the intangible. Metal, metal, metal. Just kind of imagine what it would feel like to touch a piece of metal right now. It's cold and it's very hard. It's seemingly very stable, like you can rely on it, but at the same time, it can oxidize. Well, I guess it depends on what type of metal. I don't think titanium oxidizes, rust away. Direction, northwest. Season, yellow path. Cardinal, autumn. Season, Lo Shu 9 halls. Winter solstice. Life aspect, fatherhood. Blessings, allies, friends, opportunities. Medically related to head, brain, spinal cord, nervous system, mental or emotional states. Chakra, crown. Animal, horse. Archetype, the philosopher and the sage. Immortal, Han Jiangji, patron of musicians. Patron of musicians. Okay, so we're going to first look at the translation. I always like to share that, even though it's very cryptic. But taking time to meditate upon those literal words, and in between those spaces, you can find your own place. Let me take a sip of my masala chai. It's perfect. Okay, so we're looking at Professor Hong, doctor, physicist from MIT. May his memory continue to serve as a blessing. Translates number 33, Dun, as the little pig, heaven over mountain, sign of the sacrifice, auspicious for small things. And of course, as you know, we're starting with the lower Bagua mountain and ascending. Okay, let's get that in focus. There we go. A little pig's tail, danger, do not go anywhere. Tied with ox leather, it cannot even struggle. Let it loose. A little pig tied, there is danger of illness. Hire servants. Moving into the heaven, Bagua. A gift of ham, appropriate for a gentleman, not for common folks. A suckling pig is served at a gala, good omen. A fat little pig, everything goes. So there you have it. How about we just end there? And you can take that for your contemplation and meet back with us tomorrow and give us what you got. Let me know what your meditation comes to from that. Okay. So we're going to look at Benabel Wynn's translation for this hexagram. And let me move that, because this is a big book, and heaven forbid my masala chai goes splashing everywhere. Everything will turn yellow, because I have a little bit of turmeric in there. Okay, hold on one second. Let me, all right. So this is a little bit different from what we're used to, because I usually use Benabel Wynn's thinner book for this. But this is the actual larger one. Okay, hexagram, retreat, withdraw, absconding. And there it is in the Mandarin. Okay, the oracle. As you can see, slightly different from what we read here. But we'll go ahead and share what the oracle says. Beneath heaven, there is mountain, absconding into the darkness. The sage maintains distance from those who are inferior. There is no need for enmity, but you must remain solemn and stern. Better to retreat for now. There is small gain to be had if you withdraw from the endeavor. Heaven above, mountain below. The optimal path is to retreat upward to heaven. The mountain pushes the heaven upward. As darker forces ascend toward you, do not go down to meet them. Instead, retreat skyward. Hostile forces are advancing upon you, and a confrontation will not serve your interest. It is better to retreat for now, but do not mistake the act of retreat with fleeing. Do not flee. Do not abandon the endeavor, and do not try to escape your opponent. This is not about letting the opponent prevail. This is about withdrawing for now so you can plan your counter attack. You show your strength by bringing your opponent to a standstill. By retreating now, there we go. By retreating now, your opponent will come to a position of rest. When your opponent is in the position of rest, you can then descend down and attack. Hexagram 33 corresponds with late summer months, a time to begin harvest and preservation for the winter ahead. And of course, you know, when you're listening to this and contemplating this, try not to take words as literal face value, but I would encourage you to, again, meditate, contemplate in it, and find that space of silence in between the words, that space where your own portion of the divine, which is no greater than or less than my portion or Pavel's portion or Critical Break's portion or anyone else's portion, but is there for you and manifests for you in a way that's beneficial for you to endeavor in your own mission in life. So go into that empty space, and there you will find the message that Spirit has for you. And that message could be different today than it was yesterday or a month from now, or dare say even an hour from now. It's just constantly moving, constantly moving. Welcome, Sir Tony. And last but not least, we're going to look at our brother Brian Brown Walker. Tun, dun, retreat. This is a time for disengagement and retreat. In stillness, you are out of the reach of danger. It is inherent in the design of life that forces of darkness and disruption come into prominence from time to time. This hexagram indicates that this is such a time and advises you to respond by quietly retreating. To struggle or resist in anger now is to add fuel to the fire of negativity which threatens to consume you. The superior person accepts that there is a natural ebb and flow between the forces of light and dark in the world. Wisdom lies not in resisting these movements, but in responding to them appropriately. Just as a plant which sprouts in the dead of winter is doomed, and one which sprouts in spring flourishes, so it is with us. Success and prosperity accrue to those who advance in times of light and retreat in times of darkness. To retreat now is to benefit in the end from the changing tides. Retreat is not the same thing as surrender, capitulation, or abandonment, which are desperate and unsatisfying measures. Neither is it characterized by a hardening into anger or punitive emotions. It is instead an acceptance and a choice. We calmly accept that the energies of the moment are against us, and we wisely choose to withdraw into the safety of stillness. In this dignified and balanced manner, we protect ourselves from negative influences and arrive rested in a more beneficial hour. You know, it's sort of like when you're with a loved one, or even with someone that you don't necessarily consider to be a loved one, you know, maybe just someone that you work with. And say you're asking this person for a favor, or even asking the person to do what they need to be doing, and they resist you, and they become angry with you, and they are nasty or push you away, or you know, do any number of things that we humans tend to do when we are scared, worried, anxious, ridden, or just want to be honoring. you have one or two choices. You can meet their brute force, their anger, their opposition with your own opposition, pushing back at them, thus causing the situation to build up and for them to feel justified in how they're acting, and then for them to hit you back with even stronger resistance, so that you basically have this tension filled, anger filled standoff where you're both angry with each other, and probably justifiably so, because you're both attempting to force the other to do something they do not want to do. So what do? You resist them, or do you take a breath, step back, retreat into your space, let it go? Usually 9 times out of 10, when you are able to just step back, walk away, and allow that anger and tension to, to just go its own separate way and dissolve into the earth, eventually that person will usually come around. Because what is it we least like in this world is someone telling us what to do. At least I found that to be true in my own life. We all want to feel like, take care, Sir Tony, have a good day. We all want to feel like we are in complete control of our situation and circumstance. And when we're able to give each other that space to allow that energy to resolve itself, allow that negative energy to withdraw, then it's probably a more auspicious time, and that person or that situation will more than likely turn around for you. Wow. I wish I could give you guys a little sip of this. Well, of course, your own cup. We wouldn't be sharing the same cup, but it is so good. It's so good. All right. And last but not least, we're going to look at our 64 Faces of Awakening. Oh, how calm and peaceful. Here's the back of the card, just in case I haven't shown this in a while. This companion to the I Ching was created by Dr. Rosie Aronson, PhD. She's I believe, a psychotherapist. And I believe her deck of cards were inspired by Richard Rudd, R-U-D-D, who is the creator of, what's the name of that book? The Gene, Gene keys, which is a very huge volume of sort of like commentary, indirect commentary on the I Ching. So we're going to look up mindfulness and see what his story is to share with us today. Mindfulness. There is no situation on earth that cannot be used as a means to raise your frequency and open your heart to your inner divinity. Gift, mindfulness. Shadow, forgetting. Siddhi, which is S-I-D-D-H-I, is revelation. And that is by Richard Rudd. My wisdom story. My mother was an angry woman, always, hold on one second, always censoring my father. I think I'm going to have to invest in the larger version of this book. Such a small, fine print and written with gray ink, although it does show up a little better on this camera. That's going to be kind of hard for me to read with it being so small, so I'm going to keep it right up here. So let's keep going. Always censoring my father, claiming to help him by telling him how to be, what to do. Most of the time, he just took it. But sometimes he'd explode. and it scared me. All I wanted was to get away from the tension and find peace. One day, a monk came through our town. I was only, hold on one second. I was only 4 years old, but I clung to his leg and wouldn't let go. It was like I had always known him. He asked my parents for permission to take me with him to the monastery, and they agreed, even though I could see that it broke their hearts. I spent the next many years living in silence, living far from people, far away from people. My days were spent meditating, tending to the task of the monastery, and trying to forget where I came from. All I wanted was to attain liberation and leave the world of illusion behind. I was a reserved man, one who most of the time felt safe, calm, and at peace. Until one week, for the first time since I was a young boy, my parents came to the monastery. My whole body recoiled. My heart raced, and I felt flooded by an intensity of feelings I had long forgotten. My teacher quickly stepped in. In a stern voice, he told me to be compassionate towards my parents and to tame my ego in a way I'd never done before. I raised my voice in anger at my teacher, defending myself against attack as if he were my mother, telling me what to do, how to be. And suddenly, as the heat infused my cheeks, I remembered. The anger I felt wasn't about my teacher or my parents. This story I was living out, this suffering that flooded my whole body, was as old as time itself. So I watched my blood boil and felt my heart break. When I looked at my parents now, old, tired bodies, and saw the pain and confusion in their eyes, that visit marked a turning point in my life and the end of my stay at the monastery. I was ready to remember and reclaim all that I was, am, and ever will be. It was time to return to the beautiful, messy world. How many of us can relate to that story? I can share with you that I definitely 100 billion% can relate. And I remember, I'm like a stone's throw away from 50 years old. But I remember, you know, being much younger. And I was a person, and I probably still do to a certain extent, not as much, but in a different way, sort of wear my heart on my sleeves. I was just very, very open constantly to everyone, to everything. It was constantly getting my feelings hurt. I was angry because I was born into this circumstance, this particular situation, angry at my mother, angry at my father, angry at my grandparents because of, the way they treated me or the way they responded to the world. It's hard to be around people who are, constantly negatively criticizing. If someone did something to me that I felt was extremely offensive to me, that was it. I was done with them. Didn't want to talk to them, didn't want anything to do with them. And then one day, I woke up and I realized I'm not talking to this person. I'm not talking to that person. I'm thinking, if I keep this up, there won't be anyone to talk to because everybody in some way has done something to piss you the hell off. And then I realized the only person that can piss me off or hurt me is me, or my reaction to someone else being hurt and pissed off to themselves. And then it causes this big ball of, whatever. So I just got to the point where I realized, okay, I have to find a different way to navigate this, because otherwise, you just be alone. And also comes that realization when you realize that I myself have also behaved in ways that might have come off as ignorant or unkind or rude or stressful to other people. And would I want someone to just write me off? I'd hope that they'd have a little compassion, as well. So yeah, I can definitely relate to this hexagram, to this story. We all have to learn how to retreat into ourselves, to establish ourselves into the cave of our being, the mountain, see ourselves as this mountain that is firmly grounded and stable with this beautiful organic structure, but yet we're constantly reaching to ascend. And by ascend, I mean to, be the best that we can possibly be. And we have to learn how to retreat, how to withdraw, how to let go, how to recognize the ebb and the flow. We don't have to constantly be in a flow. We don't have to constantly be in an ebb. Either one of those two things are dangerous. If everything was constantly in an ebb, you would be depleted and dried out and of no good value. If you're constantly in that flow, you'd eventually drown. So that's the lesson I take from this. And I will share the gift that mindfulness has for us. I'm going to go ahead and read that. Let's see if I can read it here on the screen. My gift to you: I am here to help you remember and to release you from the prison of your emotional life. Even if you want to speed up enlightenment, you can't. So give yourself plenty of permission to think, to feel, to desire, to act, to hide. Let nothing be forbidden. All I ask is that you be mindful of what you do. Have awareness. The first step in awakening is realizing that you've been asleep. So do not try to change your patterns or passions. Just recognize them. Ah, there I go again. Catch yourself forgetting your true nature. That inner peaceful child that knows everything is going to be okay because mom and dad is going to be there. There's that trust of a little child. Learn to feel increasingly comfortable with discomfort. Reading that line, I had the honor, the beautiful privilege. If you look in my archive, you'll see a video. I had Queen Mother Maku on, and sometime I think either last year or earlier this year, and then I had her on again for a second time, and we did a video on the holiness of waters, sacred waters, and how important it is to protect the waters and bless the waters and priest and priestess over the waters. And I was invited to watch via live stream the initiation of people into her local temple. And one of them was being initiated as an Ankh carrying priestess. This is in the Kemetic tradition. And the woman that she was telling the story about, she had mentioned something about how they went to some particular place. I don't know if it was a retreat or they had to stay overnight somewhere, and ended up finding themselves having to sleep on the floor. It was very uncomfortable or whatever. And she mentioned how this priestess, uh, who she had just initiated as a priestess, an Ankh-Carrier priestess, Ankh, it's covered up over here. She mentioned how she didn't complain about the conditions of where they had to stay that night, and how she just curled up on the floor and was out like a light, just fast asleep. And, she was really marveled by that, you know. And later she talked to her and she realized, well, she learned how to do that after going through, I can't remember. It had to have been Hurricane Sandy because of being in the Northeast, not Hurricane Katrina, but Hurricane Sandy, and staying in one of the stadiums or an open space where, you had to do what you had to do. You had to sleep. You had to sleep on the floor. There's a whole lot of people there and a whole lot of ruckus and noise. And she learned how to be comfortable with discomfort. Gam ze ya'avor, which is this too shall pass. Everything is temporary. Everything is temporary. Learn to feel increasingly comfortable with discomfort. Now, that does not mean that you stay in abusive situations and, relationships or circumstances, but it simply means that you cannot run away from every pain and discomfort. Sometimes you have to face it head on in order for it to be released. Because what happens when you constantly run away from stuff, those lessons, those exercises continue to repeat themselves. So if I'm thinking that I'm getting away from an obnoxious, horrible, horrific family member, think again. Because I might be physically distant from whoever it is I think has wronged me or fracked me over, but yet your relationships with various people, you'll see themes constantly going through, and you're thinking, why does this keep happening to me? It keeps happening because we're not willing to face what we need to do, grow through it. That is what it means to be increasingly comfortable with discomfort, because only through discomfort we are able to grow and learn. And it's true, even basic nature. When you look at little children, or if you remember being a little child yourself, remember growing pains? Remember how your legs and your arms would hurt and be in pain temporarily, and then you have a growth spurt? If it wasn't for that pain and uncomfortableness, you wouldn't grow. You got to crack the egg open in order to get the baby hatchling out. In time, you will naturally come to realize that something more wondrous than you can imagine is looking through your eyes, thinking through your mind, and living through your actions. In the end, all of life shall remember itself through you, and all that you'll experience is the revelation of the eternal now. So there you go. All right. I think we got about 45 minutes today. All right. Let me go ahead and check the chat room right quick. Let me check the chat room. Welcome, Celie Jane. Welcome, everyone. I think the best way to teach someone Zen, which remember, we can't teach them, we can show them the way of how to be it. And what I've come to understand, it is through the breath, through focusing on the breath. Because if nothing else we have, even when we're stripped, butt naked, right down to our bare bum, as long as we're alive, we still have our breath. And if we can focus on the energy of our breath, that is our divinity flowing in and out of us. And when we focus there, that is where it begins and ends. Right on, CB, right on. Okay. All right, I need to get going as I want to stay on target and, keep it moving, keep it moving. So I'm Tommy Wingina, Priestess Heart. Thank you so much for being here. Let's go ahead and take a nice, deep, centering breath. Take a moment to remember our ancestors and all those who have come before us. I thank all of you for being here. Thank you, CB. Thank you, Pavel. Thank you, Silly Jane. Let's see, did I miss anyone? I don't think so. Thank you, Sir Tony, although he's gone. And thank you to the viewers who were behind the scenes, behind the screen. Pavel says, my inner child has an allergy to BS, belief systems. Yes, I work so hard to let go of what you feel like you believe in. So we really don't know. We don't know anything. We don't know. We only know what we know and what we think we know. Someone posted a question, asked me, what is my religion? I haven't responded yet. I don't even know what to say. I don't really have a religion. Love, if anything, love is my religion. Love is what I desire to allow to bind me up, to tie me up, is love. So that I can constantly remember to go into love and go into compassion, to remember that just like that person cut me off in traffic or did something that I thought was incredibly inane and stupid or ridiculous, I've done the same thing. Done the same thing. So I would say my religion is love. Am I always perfect at it? No, definitely not. But as the song goes, I get knocked down and I get up again. Ain't nothing gonna keep me down. So thank you guys for being here. I wish you peace, and great bliss. And until next time, keep going. Love all of you.